What's good, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the RiOT Comedy Podcast presented by RiOT. Shout out to RiOT, natural spring water, keeping us healthy
Howdy,
and
folks.
hydrated over here.
Howdy from Missouri. Howdy. Howdy.
The
Look, I'm
NBA
with you.
MVP race is getting hot. Playoffs are going to be rolling around soon.
It's not even
Let's jump into
hot.
the MVP discussion. It's been a hot topic of conversation lately.
It's hot, but we all know who's going to win it, right? I mean, unfortunately.
Yeah. We always know who's going to win it before too long. It's kind of whoever the media starts talking about at the beginning of the season wanting to give the MVP to.
Every time. It's
They create narratives when the season starts so they can give it to the guy they want to give it to.
So let's get into that a little bit because I think that neither one of us are like Shai doesn't deserve it. I don't think that that's the case that we're trying to make here. But I do think that we can make the case here of he shouldn't win it this year.
Yeah.
I'm interested in. I mean, I'll give my take on it first and foremost, and it's you should have gave it to him last year. You should give people their MVPs when they actually deserve it, so we don't have to deal with stuff like this anymore. I think that
absolutely it happens. It happens every 3-4 years. We give it to the wrong guy too soon. And then we got to give a makeup MVP to someone later and rob somebody.
It makes no sense. Like, so for instance, this year, Shai, the arguments for Shai is, well, he's getting 30 points a game. He's playing super efficient. He's taking the youngest team in the league to the 1 seed. And they're playing outstanding basketball. And that was last year. And this year. So my question is if he deserves it this year, then why not last year? Not one bit has changed except for about 2.5 points per game. So if getting almost 3 points per game. So if getting 30 points per game or 33 points per game is really what stopped you guys from giving him the MVP last year, then I guess I'll have to side with that argument. But I have a real hard time believing that shit matters. I have a really hard time believing that any of it matters. My thing is we had a narrative 7, 8, 9 years ago. Whenever Westbrook won the MVP, it was like, well, he averaged a triple double. I mean, what guy's more valuable than a triple double guy? And then Russ did it 3 more times after that, and everybody's like, well, it's stat padding now, and anybody can do it if they really want to. Even though only 2 guys have ever done it, anybody can do it if they want to. If they really want to, they can do it. So. But that's my argument for Joker is this is by far Joker's best season. He's shooting like 57% from the floor, 41% from 3. He's getting like just shy of 30 points per game, and he's averaging a triple-double. That is about as efficient as a human being can possibly get. The Nuggets right now are the 3 seed, basically tied for the 2 seed. There's a jumbled up mess through there. But, I mean, that's kind of what I would say is like, what are we doing now, guys? I mean, at this point now, do we really need to take MVP into consideration for best players after they have one? Because if you really are an all-time great, you will get one. But after you get one, do we need to quit counting? That's my question to you.
When you say do we need to quit counting, you mean like as far as like for the future voting?
No, like who cares that LeBron has 4 MVPs or 3 or 4, and who cares if Jordan has 4 or 5, and who cares how many MVPs people have, right? Like, as long as you have one, right? Yeah. Like, same argument about Steph Curry being the first unanimous MVP ever. Well, he was just the first all-time great that every media member liked. That's all that matters.
Facts.
We had a year where I think LeBron missed it by 1 vote, and Carmelo Anthony got that vote.
Correct. There's been, I believe, 3. If it's not 3, it's at least 3 instances where someone missed unanimous MVP by 1 vote. Jordan did it. LeBron did it. Shaq did it. Anyone prior to Jordan, maybe. I don't know for certain. But so it's like all those guys should have won a unanimous MVP.
Right. So let's go ahead and scratch that off the all-time greats that we need to scratch that off.
While we're talking about narratives, when Steph won his first MVP, he did not have MVP numbers. The narrative was best player on the best team.
Right. And in regard,
that narrative only happens when they want to give it to a certain guy.
Right, because if that's the same narrative of like best player, best team, right? Well, Donovan Mitchell's not even
going for back-to-back.
Donovan Mitchell's not even top 5. Donovan Mitchell's not even top 5 in MVPs. Like I think the top 5 guys they're saying right now are like Tatum, Giannis, Joker, Shai, and LeBron, I think, are the 5 guys that are in like the top 5 for MVP.
Yeah.
None of those guys are the best player on the best team. None of them. Not one.
Right.
So that's an interesting concept that we just make shit up. And I think I think it's really actually hurting MVPs.
Yeah. Oh,
Cause
absolutely.
Because who gives a shit? Like once you get one, because if you're an all-time great, you'll get one. Like James Harden has one. Like they would have just given one to Kawhi if he would have stayed healthy for like three years in a row. They would have just given Kawhi one, right? They'd be like, well, here you go. They were already trying to give him one after he won his championship in Toronto, but it was just never going to fly because he just wasn't healthy enough. So like that's my big thing is like, well, so what are we actually doing here?
But no, I agree with what you said earlier about like not counting. You know, if you have one, like who really cares after that because they get it wrong so often. And whenever you look at like the greatest players of all time, like Shaq and Kobe each have one MVP, and I'll take either one of those dudes over pretty much every player of all time that's not like Michael or LeBron.
Steve Nash has as many MVPs as Shaq and Kobe combined, and was never dude. Steve Nash is not even a top 30 basketball player of all time.
Facts.
I might be a bit of a Steve Nash hater, but keep in mind, everybody, that like I watched him play his whole entire career from start to finish closely. Whenever he was in his prime, I was like 15. I had nothing better to do. But watch basketball for 5-6 years straight. I wasn't like dating women. I wasn't even getting pussy yet. So I had nothing better to do. That was before I started smoking weed. I had nothing better to do than watch basketball. And we did a top 5 list, probably, 9 months, maybe a year ago now. Top 5 at each position. Each of us did it on our own, and then we talked about it on the podcast. And neither one of us had Steve Nash as a top 5 point guard of all time.
Steve Nash made neither list.
And he has as many MVPs as Shaq and Kobe combined. So, like, this whole thing about MVPs, we got to get rid of it. Like, we got to get rid of it.
Even just leave out the Shaq and Kobe aspect. Even leave out the fact that they had been robbed, once or twice and this and that. Even to just say Steve Nash has the same amount of MVPs as Tim Duncan.
Right. I know.
That's absurd.
Steve Nash has more MVPs than probably 99% of the league.
Yeah, there haven't been that many guys to win it in general. I mean, the NBA's been around 75 years, and look at all the dudes who've won it multiple times. There's probably been like only 45 guys to even win MVP, probably. And there's been
and then
5,000 NBA players.
And then Joker won 2 in a row. So now we have to make sure that nobody wins 3 in a row so that Larry Bird can be the last person to do it, which
Right, exactly.
Which is fine, I guess, if that's the narrative that we want to go with, but like so now we're just taking MVPs from people because we don't want them to do something that's already been done. So now are we going to not have another unanimous MVP so Steph can be the only one? Or are we now going to do this?
Yeah, we're going to do that. Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
So it's fucking stupid. And it actually like really pisses me off because like you're fucking with players' legacies and you're fucking with players' money based on if you like them or not. And that's not how shit's supposed to be. Regardless of how you feel about it. Like Joel Embiid was given an MVP just because. Not saying he didn't earn one, but like we were just like, well, Joker can't win 3 in a row, so let's just give it to Joel Embiid.
Although that was another instance where a lot of people thought Joel should have won the year before.
Correct. But he should have got it the year. Like, that's my thing, though, is that like we're literally just like Kobe Bryant, when he won his MVP, they were just like, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. Definitely.
I mean, so when you look at like Dirk is a 30,000 point scorer. And I'm not saying that Dirk should have more than one MVP or anything like that, but I do know that he is a far, far, far superior basketball player and has always been more valuable to any team in the NBA than Steve Nash. So
absolutely.
That's the trouble with it, man. And like speaking of kind of the Joker Shai thing, we're getting really, really close to the NBA playoffs, and the Western Conference is a total fucking shit show right now for like who's playing who. Like we're not gonna know who's playing who probably till like the last 2 games of the NBA season. None of them. None of the matchups.
As of the recording of this podcast, only 3.5 games separate the 2 seed from the 7 seed.
Right.
So you could literally, have home court until you get to the conference finals, or you could end up in the play-in.
Right. which is a wild thing, or just be the 6th seed and probably not have any home court whatsoever. Even if you get that 6th seed, it's like, well, I guess I'll play Denver first round. All right.
Yeah.
Like what I think everybody's hoping that like the Grizzlies and the Rockets, that you get to play one of those. Like that's what you're shooting for, right? Like,
yeah.
Like we're talking about motherfuckers possibly losing the last game of the season on purpose so they can be like, well, I got to play Houston.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, because like Houston's not even close to ready to even win a playoff series. Like they're not going to even win one. If they do, I'll be shocked. I don't want to say it's impossible just because like I am a big Ime Udoka fan. I think he's as good as coaches get. Obviously he's as good as they get because teams sure seem to overperform when he's their coach.
No doubt.
So, but my question to you is like, what matchup? And because I think most people think that, well, obviously the Nuggets will make it to the second round of the playoffs. What if they play Golden State? My question to you is, what teams in the Western Conference are you comfortable saying like they'll beat Golden State in the playoff series? Where you're like, for sure.
For sure?
Like we're real comfortable in saying like, yeah, they'll beat them.
I mean, I feel that way about the Lakers. I wouldn't bet my life on it, so I wouldn't say there's anyone that's a for sure.
We're talking 90%.
I would take the Lakers over the Warriors. That's the only team that I'll be like for sure. I could see the Warriors beating anybody else, but I could also see the Warriors losing to OKC or Denver. I would pick the Warriors, but I could see that happening.
Joker's going to be a nightmare.
Absolutely.
That's a nightmare matchup for them. But as soon as Joker's taken out of the game, it's like, okay, well, like I trust Draymond Green to read defenses and not possibly allow so many backdoors by Aaron Gordon. I trust Jimmy Butler to slow down Jamal Murray for sure, even though he's a little bit old. And the thing is like that, but like Jimmy Butler probably won't even have to guard him because Moses Moody's young. Jonathan Kuminga's back now. He's on a minutes restriction. By the time the playoffs start, he's uber athletic. Like, I think that depending on how we fall here, which would like be great for us, but like we could even see like a LeBron Steph Western Conference Finals.
That would be awesome. That's what give the people what they want.
Oh yeah, hell yeah. But I don't want to take anything away from OKC. Like they made it to the second round last year, then they lost to a more established team. Typically, these teams tend to be better the next year and take a larger step in the right direction. And the bigs for OKC are a nightmare, so I would give OKC the nod to Golden State. Me personally, like I would say the Lakers and OKC are both teams that I'm comfortable saying like, yeah, I don't think the Warriors can beat either one of those guys. But then like as a Lakers guy, just because LeBron's there and watching the Lakers play so many games, like I can't sit here and be surprised if they lose to somebody who's like same good as them or like barely worse than them. Like I can't be surprised by that.
Yeah.
But the West is a crapshoot, and it's one of those things. Is that like, is everybody in the West pretty good, or is everybody in the West just like mediocrely good? And at the end of the day, none of those teams can even sniff a Boston Celtics. I think it's that one.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too.
Okay, good. And in the Eastern
Conference, as much as I hate to admit it, because we love hating on Boston, it's fun and this and that, but you got to give credit where it's due, man. And they're a freaking they're like a stacked '80s team. They're like the freaking Celtics or Lakers from the '80s. Like they're deep, they play great team basketball, and they're just hard. They're hard to beat, man. They're good.
And we were talking about the Lakers, and it brought up the fact that. Schmunky's Money Lines, dude. So Schmunky's Money Lines is a little thing that we're doing. It's presented by MyBookie. And all the lines that I give are things that I see myself making money on. When it comes to gambling, because that's what this is, I'm a bit of a degenerate, and I would never gamble $200 to win $300. I would never do that, everybody.
Yeah.
So my money lines are always like, how do you bet 100 and win at least 800? Like that's always how I've always been. If I buy a $5 scratcher and win $50 on it, I don't say, wow, that was 10 up my money. Wow. I can get a tank of gas and maybe I can get a half tank gas and a pack of cigarettes for that. No, I say, well, I'm going to take this $50 and buy five $10 scratchers or two 20s and a 10, and we're going to let this bitch roll for another 10. Maybe we get 10 G's out of this motherfucker. I do it. and this is what it is. So I would tell anybody, like, don't ever, don't I'm not saying put your money on this because, like, I lose more money than I win, like everybody else. Everybody does because that's what makes gambling sites profitable.
This is just us out here having fun.
So there's two lines here. Lakers are plus 1,400 to win the championship. And I like it. Those are good odds.
I ain't mad at it.
Those are good odds. And I wanted to piggyback off of that because, why wouldn't you, right? So right now, LeBron James is plus 3,600 to win Finals MVP. Plus 3,600. So if you feel comfortable with the Lakers winning the championship, I feel real comfortable with LeBron winning the Finals MVP.
No doubt.
Because once again, narratives are kind of how we give awards in the NBA.
Yeah.
And everybody's going to want to give a 40-year-old LeBron James the Finals MVP.
Absolutely.
So, based on kind of like what my bookie's showing their lines, I like the Lakers at plus 1,400. I think as far as what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to put 500 on both. I'm going to put 500 on both and kind of see how they play. I don't have the math in front of me. 1,400. If I put $500 on it, I think that equates to $7,000, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And the plus 3,600, if you put $500 on, I think that's $18,000.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, it's roughly right around there. So for $1,000, you can win whatever that math would be, $25,000, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are good odds. No, they're bad odds, but a lot of money to make. Like, I'm basically invested in crypto.
High upside.
Basically invested in crypto here, guys. But those are my. What do you think? What do you think of Shmoney's money lines, dog? Because I think that those are.
I actually like it. It's kind of making me want to look into that same pick.
Well, what's interesting is because some people because there's no such thing as a sure bet, right? I saw this thing on social media where this guy was like, it was like 60 games into the season, 50 games into the season. It was like a week before. Did you see that? It was like a week before Wemby got hurt. And he said, I just put $10,000 on Wemby to win Defensive Player of the Year. It's a sure bet. It only pays me like $900 profit or $1,200 profit, but like it's a sure bet. And then Wemby gets hurt, and Wemby's played like 56 games or 55 games of the season. Something weird as shit like that.
Yeah, so he's not even eligible no matter what.
So that's the thing is you want to put it's different if you got the money. If that guy's got, $10 million or even $500,000 in his bank account, and was like, I'm going to make $900 on this real quick, $1,200, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Probably shouldn't. But you need to at least make, in my personal opinion, like I said, nobody go off of this, but you need to at least make it worth your while. And it's not like it's something I can't lose. Like my wife's gonna be pissed. Like trust me, that's a lot of money to us. We don't make a lot of money, dog. That's a lot of money to us. We get by, but it's one of those instances where it's even if the Lakers made the Western Conference Finals, you could probably get rid of this bet. Somebody will pay you out.
Yeah.
Instead of them trying to pay you $36,000, they might give you you bet $1,000. Okay, here's $2,000. Okay, cool, awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome, thanks. Sure. I'll take that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So that's absolutely the interesting thing. We knew a guy last year that at the beginning of the season bet the Timberwolves would win the NBA championship.
Yeah.
And they sold it in the conference finals.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, fuck this. Fuck this. Luka and Kyrie look real good. Fuck this. But it made money. So
yeah,
those are my money lines, man. I think that they're really, really good. I like my chances as far as playing the lottery goes. As far as playing the lottery goes, some people buy Powerball tickets. I do this. So we're kind of coming close to an end, though. I just wanted to get those money lines out there. Presented by my bookie, and I want to end today's segment like we usually do with a little bit of hoorah, a little bit of a little bit of happy. A little bit of happy.
Yeah, let's get into it.
So do you I can go first if you want. Do you have anybody that you want to give a shout out to or anything that you want to say, good job?
I'll let you go ahead. It's funny because last time we did a podcast, I was like, I know who I'm going to do for my next shout out. Now I can't remember who the hell I was going to do.
Hilarious. So I want to shout out.
Oh, no, I do remember, but yeah, I'll let you go ahead. Go ahead.
I want to shout out the Cincinnati Bengals. And it's not that you guys paying your wide receivers was the wisest decision. It's just my whole life, the Bengals have been unwilling to pay talent. And you have to keep your star quarterbacks healthy. And if this sets the Bengals back a year because they have too much money towards wide receivers in the offense and their defense sucks, again, all those things, it is most important to show your starting quarterback that you are willing to do what it takes to win and you actually give a shit what they have to say and their input. So I like what the Bengals did, not necessarily because I think their team's way better. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say they're going to make the playoffs now or anything like that. I just like to see franchises finally say, we're going to do the right thing by our players and pay them. And if it doesn't work out, you can always trade T. Higgins. You can always trade Jamar Chase and invest in the defense. But I think it's important to show Joe Burrow that, yes, we do give a shit about your input. We heard you all off season saying, you can't let these guys walk out the door. You can't let these guys walk out the door. And they can't pay everybody. So if they trade their star defensive pass rush who led the league in sacks last year, you should not do that. You should find the money to pay them, even if you have to backload it and then restructure after this year and give them all the money up front, a signing bonus, whatever you have to do. But I do think it's important to keep your quarterbacks happy so at least the Bengals can sleep. If you're a Bengals fan, you sleep easier tonight than you ever have your whole entire life.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, I got to give my shout out to an NBA player who has dealt with a ton of unfair scrutiny, handled it like a champ the whole time. I got to give a shout out to Bronny James, because this dude has been, he was the 55th pick. Everyone was saying he shouldn't have been drafted. So far, he's had a better stint in the NBA than the people picked after him. He's had a better stint in the NBA than a few of the players who were drafted in the lottery. And, people talked all this mess about him getting, however much money he got. Turns out it wasn't that. It was pretty on par with second-round picks. Even though he's already made up for all the money he's been paid. The Lakers sold more than enough jerseys to pay for his full contract. So, yeah, just a shout-out to Bronny for dealing with all that scrutiny and handling it like a G and not at least I haven't seen anything from him that would suggest that it's bothering him or this or that. So shout out to Bronny for dealing with all this unfair scrutiny that for a 55th pick in the draft for a guy who deserved to be drafted. And even if LeBron wasn't in the NBA anymore, if he wasn't on the Lakers, you take a chance on drafting the son of LeBron James, just like people took a chance on drafting the kids of other NBA players. There's a lot of NBA children who get to stick around in the NBA for multiple years who shouldn't, because they're willing to take a chance on them. Yeah.
This is also what I would say about people who say that Bronny shouldn't have been drafted. This will be the last thing I say, and we'll hop up off of here. But, we watch a lot of basketball. We watch a lot. I watch it every single day. Who do you think should be Rookie of the Year? Oh, wait, I'll answer that for you. Who knows, everybody? Who fucking knows, okay?
Exactly.
We don't know what the first pick in the draft's doing. We don't know what the second pick in the draft is doing. We don't know what any of these guys are doing because this is one of the worst draft classes that we've ever seen. Now, some of these guys might progress into being great players. I think Dalton Knecht is one of the best rookies drafted so far, and he's never going to be a multi-time All-Star or anything like that. So when you have drafts like this, you should just swing for the fences on every single person that you draft.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to draft just based on talent or height or athleticism or any of these things. So, and me, I was a Bronny James supporter before the season even started. I've been saying he's gonna be in the league for some time. He's gonna be a great role player. You know how I felt about Bronny James. I've been very vocal about it. Even whenever earlier in the season people were saying he has no business being in the league, all these things. It was like, well, let's give this fucking 19-year-old kid some time. So I'm glad that you shouted out Bronny because he totally deserves it.
Absolutely.
And that does it for us. Well, I'd like to thank the RiOT Comedy folks for fucking with us heavy.
Yeah, shout out to all of our fans. Y'all keep watching them cartoons, keep supporting, keep showing love.
Hell yeah.
Keep attacking the haters in the comments for us. Shout out to all of our fans who always grill those fools for talking that mess and letting them have it. All right, so shout out to y'all one time too. We appreciate y'all rocking with us.
We appreciate y'all.